Hey, I have a question. What's the most creative thing a player had done with a weak spell? Leave your response in the comments below. Today's sponsor is Saga of the Void Maiden. Join the crew of a rogue trader as they investigate a mysterious transmission from a planet that should not exist in this Warhammer 40k actual play web series. Link in the description. Real answer? Use stone shape to tunnel through the wall of a city that had been impenetrable for 30 plus years. No sending, no teleport, no scrying in or out. Covered the entrances with a thin, breakable layer in case they needed to bust back out. Now, the fun answer? Playing a wizarding school campaign in a hot climate. Our orc buddy goes out to party and drink shirtless. Our sorcerer uses Prestidigitation to create a massive tattoo across his back of our other extremely slutty male, edit and well-known, sorcerer friend making a sexy kissy face. Mwah. The DM had to look up the rules and confirmed it was legit. Nobody told him until well into the evening. Enlarge Reduce is a powerful spell, but my player used it in a very unique way. The party caught a scout from an enemy kingdom and was trying to get information out of him. To sway him, the arcane trickster decided to cast Reduce on his penis. Testicular torsion? Oh no, testicular reduction. With a very successful intimidation check, the scout spilled the beans immediately. I, as a player, have walked through a wall of fire set up by an enemy spellcaster, used absorb elements to shrug it off, and then proceeded to deal just enough damage on the first swing to take them out. I was a wizard at the top of the initiative order, with the enemy above me and all others below. The enemy was a spellcaster 2 levels higher than me. Knowing our enemy was a wizard, I soaked a blanket in oil before we opened the door. I handed the blanket to my mage hand and grabbed the torch. When the door opened, the enemy cast mage armor on himself. I had my mage hand whip the blanket around his head, poked him in the face, and lit his head on fire. The entire table and the DM was flabbergasted. Our party was in a chamber with the artifact we needed at the center of the room, surrounded by prismatic flames that basically cast disintegrate on anything they touched. Of course, the door sealed, and the giant statue at the other end of the room animated on its plinth. My buddy and I rolled high on initiative and hit the plinth with grease and stone shape right after each other, creating a slippery ramp beneath its feet, leading straight to the prismatic flames. Our DM was a little mad. We were a group of 5 low-level adventurers, dumb enough to confront a goblin leader in a goblin camp. The fight quickly turned into a potential TPK after a series of failed saves. 4 of my fellow party members were put to sleep, while my tiefling bard, invisible and out of spell range, was the only one left standing. Luckily, my turn was next. The DM allowed me to wake everyone up using thaumaturgy, and I cast it to tremor the floor, shaking the napping party members awake. Wake up! As a bard, I used Prestidigitation to force a foe to leave a crowded hall and walk into an ambush. I made him think he soiled himself. The rogue, fighter, and warlock made quick work of him as he stumbled out unarmed, leaving his bodyguard behind in his haste. Later, I used Comprehend Languages to stage a kobold raid on an enemy faction's provision depot, with some tactical advice from our former officer fighter. The GM made a few rolls, and our collective party expertise gave the kobolds a bunch of bonuses. The little blighters emptied and torched the place, and even gave us a bit of loot for our contributions. And that's how we forged a great alliance with a big clan of clever kobolds who later backed us up during an assault on a manor where the big bad evil guy was hiding. I was once running a one-shot where the party was climbing a tower of ice guarded by various water and ice-themed enemies, including water elemental guards. One player actually asked if she could use Create or Destroy Water to destroy part of a guard's body, since he technically was made of water. Now, normally the spell doesn't work like that, but I thought it was clever, so I let her roll damage equivalent to a level 1 spell. She rolled well, and the guard was already hurt enough that she essentially boiled him into steam. His armor and weapons clanged to the floor. Had a magic dungeon with a Skyrim-like door in the treasure room. As an example, at the end of the dungeon, players get loot and can get right back to the entrance instead of walking all the way back through. Well, the bard got intrigued by this magic door, which wouldn't budge, and dealt force damage to anyone who tried to attack it. Dude had shatter prepared, so instead of attacking the door, he blew the hinges out of the wall. The door fell flat on the ground, the players looted everything, and they went straight to the boss room. The monk then used the force damage door as a trampoline to hit the giant-sized earth elemental boss in the face. One of the most fun games we ever had. Alright, I've got two, both involving Thorn Whip. First, I was playing a barbarian, and we were in a fight with a mind flayer. Our sorcerer used Thorn Whip to grapple the mind flayer and pull it through my square, provoking an opportunity attack. I ended up dealing a colossal amount of damage, and the fight was over in the next 3 or 4 turns. Next, I was playing a ranger notorious for rolling low. The party was scaling a cliff, and of course, I rolled a natural 1 and started to fall. Because of my previous bad rolls, no one in the party was below me to catch me. Luckily, I cast Thorn Whip while falling, grappled myself, and pulled myself back to the cliff face. Well, I put my players up against a team of crooked adventuring mercenaries who planned to rob them. I even created character sheets to match, making them evenly balanced, except the leader, who was an Oathbreaker paladin driven mad by his demon armor. The bard and druid worked together to slow and damage the troll barbarian using plant growth and spike growth, while the wizard cast heat metal on the demon armor. Since the armor actually couldn't be removed without magic, the heat brought them to their knees, forcing a surrender in a single round. Toll the Dead. We entered a cave filled with sleeping bats. Our level 2 party knew that waking them while inside would be a disaster. The cleric ushered everyone outside, then cast Toll the Dead, banking on the sound of the spell to wake the bats in the echoey cave. The DM ruled with Rule of Cool. The gong woke the bats, who vacated the cave entirely. Whew, crisis averted. Our party of 3 snuck around a corner in a dungeon and spotted 2 baddies torturing someone. One party member realized they were human and noticed there were only 2 torches lighting the room. Half the room was underwater, and the other half had stairs leading up to the baddies. 2 of us had Dark Vision and Mage Hand. Using Mage Hand, we threw the torches into the water, plunging the room into darkness. We then used our Dark Vision to beat the 2 humans while the third party member waited in the previous room. These were level 2 boss tier enemies, but without their light source, they were toast. Now this one happened recently. The party was fighting giant balls of ants, normal ants clumped up into menacing moving spheres in a huge hall. Our wizard, who had taken no attack spells due to his character's backstory, used Minor Illusion to draw a chalk circle around one of the ant balls. Now, if you know IRL, ants hate crossing chalk lines because it messes with their pheromone trails. I ruled that the ants would need to succeed a DC 10 intelligence check to realize the line was an illusion. They had an intelligence score of 1. That ant ball was off the board for the entire fight. I once played D&D with my mom, who had never played before. I was running a pun-filled silly one-shot with ridiculous monsters. I helped her make her character and she said, "I want to be a big hippie." Screw it, druid it is! I gave her simple spells and the adventure began. The monsters included snowbolds, which were kobolds, red-green caps, red caps armed with sharpened candy canes, were-reindeer, the abdominal snowman, no, not a typo, think a snowman version of Krang, the tinsel beast, which was just a displacer beast, and the final boss, a gibbering fruitcake. This is great. When it came to fighting the fruitcake, my mom asked, how do I cast a spell? Just say what it is and we'll roll if it involves an attack or save. She said, I cast Purify Food and Drink. The entire table of experienced players froze. No one thought of that. What could I do? The fruitcake was defeated. To this day, it's the gold standard for why you don't underestimate utility spells. Your mom is really smart and cool. I played with the classic "I have dark vision" crew. I was a drow oathbreaker, TLDR betrayed her family and fled the Underdark. During one fight, I cast Toll the Dead, and our bard, a gem dragonborn, cast Shatter. Our DM, who might secretly work for the Mages Guild, ruled that the spells comboed into a massive AoE, dealing 60 necrotic damage to a group of hitmen hunting us. We were that group, known for doing the right things with all the grace of a Tarrasque. Our bard was in a competition we really needed him to win. Our cleric cast calm emotions on the crowd watching the other performer, reducing their enthusiasm. The cleric also heckled the other performer, causing him to falter in his routine. The DM thought it was so creative that he gave the performer disadvantage on his check, allowing our bard to win handily. I was playing a Twilight cleric, escorting civilians through the wilderness when a group of brigands surrounded us. They figured we wouldn't let the civilians be harmed, so we'd have to comply, right? I told the party to stall for a minute while I cast Tiny Hut, which I always keep prepared as a domain spell. The civilians were safe inside the hut, leaving the rest of the party free to fight without worry. Hey everybody, Brian Von VA checking in after the vid. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, ring that bell, and let us know in the comments below what is the most creative thing a player has ever done with a weak spell. And of course, if you want to join our membership program, you will be helping out the channel tremendously. You get early access to videos and maybe some more stuff in the future, but it does help us continue to give you the best bang for your buck. We love you all. Please be safe, happy, and healthy, and we'll see you next time. Toodaloo for now.